Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Laura Spahn and I'm the CEO of Virtual Vocations. Today I will be presenting information about working from home and supporting children in online school. As the product of a homeschool family and having several years of experience homeschooling my own children, I'm excited to be able to share this information with you. We've also compiled a lot of this into a downloadable resource, so you don't need to make notes and you don't have to worry about remembering what we cover. Before we get started, I'd like to give a quick overview of Virtual Vocations and how we can help you in your existing remote career, or if you're currently looking for a work-at-home job. Virtual Vocations is one of the leading providers of screened and researched remote job listings and resources to help people find work-from-home jobs. We were founded 13 years ago in 2007 by myself and my brother, Adam Stevenson. He's the Chief Technology Officer for Virtual Vocations. We are a subscription job board with a team of over 45 people who work every day to research companies with open remote jobs, and we provide one of the largest databases of human-screened vetted job listings. Over the years, we've also expanded our services to include a wide range of resume writing services, career coaching, industry-specific career guides, and courses for our members. We also provide free membership benefits that allows access to a portion of our jobs database, a free course on getting started working remotely, ebook downloads, and a wide variety of excellent actionable content on our blog. If you aren't already a member of Virtual Vocations, we hope you'll register and join our community of remote job seekers. We're offering a 20% discount link valid for 3 days if you'd like to test drive Virtual Vocations for your job search. You can find that link in the download available for this webinar, and I'll also share it at the end of the webinar in the chat box. Okay, just a little housekeeping before we get started. This is a Simulive webinar, meaning we are here and available behind the scenes, but the webinar was pre-recorded. If you have any questions during the presentation or are having technical difficulties, please type them into the chat box in the control panel and we'll be here to help out. At the end of the webinar, I'll hop on for the live Q&A session with all of you, so be sure to stick around. All right, I think that's everything. Let's get started. We have a lot of great content to cover in today's presentation, and I know myself, like many of you, have limited time, especially with working from home and trying to simultaneously manage our children's online learning as well. Let's dive in and get started with what I consider one of the biggest keys to your family's success, creating structure through schedules. So we all thrive on schedules and routine, even those of us who are averse to having our daily activities written out where we can all see them. If we actually pay attention to how we spend our time, we'll find out that we all have some type of routine throughout the day that we follow. The first step to a successful family schedule is realistic planning. So with structure being so important to our ability to feel in control of our day and to accomplish tasks, let's go over some of the key parts of the day that should be included on each of our family members' schedules. Ideally, you'll be creating an individual schedule for each member of your family. And if you have young children that require more attention, I would suggest starting with your own schedule, as there will probably be more unchangeable commitments like work meetings or appointments that you'll need other family members to work around. So the first section of time you should block off in your day would be sleep. It's not a good idea to skimp on sleep for anyone in the family, including yourself. With so many of us at home now for prolonged periods of time, it can take just one grumpy person or child to throw off everyone's day in the entire house. You'll want to identify various sleep schedules. Different family members will have different sleep needs based on their ages and individual personalities. There'll be night owls, morning people, adults versus teenagers, and of course, young children and napping schedules. So you'll want to consider your own sleep needs first. And a great tip is to figure out your sleep cycles and how to wake up at the end of one, so you can avoid the grogginess that can happen when your alarm goes off in the middle of one of the deeper phases of sleep. After you've blocked off everybody's sleeping hours, you'll want to add unchangeable commitments to the schedule. So this should include any work time that is inflexible, like online meetings or expected online availability time. You'll also want to include any recurring appointments that happen, and if there are extracurricular activities like music lessons that happen on an ongoing basis. For kids, you'll want to block out their online live class times. And if they're doing a hybrid mix of on-site and online school, block out their in-school time as well and any other regular activities they have. Now that you have sleep and everybody's unchangeable commitments blocked out, add in clearly designated times for meals, flexible work hours, flexible school homework time, family time, other activities, and of course, free time. This will probably look different for each person in your family, depending on your children's ages. Sometimes, like breakfast and lunch or homework, may need to overlap with your schedule so you're available for them. The final step to a successful schedule is to make sure it is visible to everyone in the family. Even though my children are all teens, I still use a printed schedule that's posted in the kitchen, and it gives everyone a quick glance of work schedules, appointments, birthdays, and whatever else is coming up. You'll want to make sure that your schedules are visible as well. It's one of the most effective ways of making a family schedule work. There are many family scheduling apps like Cozy, Our Home, or BusyKid that help with scheduling, or you could even use Google Calendar. Personally, I found that printouts still work best, simply because not all of my family members are interested in checking an app throughout the day. So many of us may be used to the mindset of having to get it all done, working nonstop activities, a spotless house, our workouts, the list goes on and on. Well, I'm here to tell you it's okay to let some of that go, and you'll probably have to in order to make time for the really important parts of your day. So managing your day involves first and foremost identifying the essential. You may need to get real with your family about cutting out some current activities or nightly TV time on some days and replacing them with meal prep for the following day, homework, cleaning, or fit in some family exercise time, PE. We've heard it before, but we really only have 24 hours in the day, and prioritizing what matters is vital to success. Establish your true availability during the day at both home and for work. Share your schedule conflicts with your manager and request flexibility. Don't be concerned about approaching your employer with requests for additional flexibility in your schedule. The majority of employers are trying to manage similar circumstances in their own lives as well. Ask if there's flexibility on how often you need to attend video meetings. Are there core hours they need you to be online? Are there flexible hours? Are you allowed to complete work in the evenings or early mornings if necessary and have shorter daytime schedule? Talk to your manager about any of these scenarios. The next thing you want to do is to cover what ifs. Interruptions will happen, especially with school, work, and just daily life happening simultaneously under the same roof. We can make some plans to help. Sometimes we are just going to have to make it through. One of the most common interruptions to our work days right now are school-related questions from our kids, either about technical issues with trying to access class or where to find their online schoolwork. It's a good idea to have a tech support sheet ready to go for your child, and if possible, designate a family member, either an older sibling, another parent, or even a distant family member who can hop on by video and help guide them through the issue. Include phone numbers, email addresses, step-by-step instructions if needed for accessing important online school sites. Be sure to go over the document and update it regularly. Some schools are providing their own tech support to students in case they're unable to access class for some reason. The next thing you'll want to have in place is a designated check-in time. I'm a big advocate of making time during the day, if at all possible, for checking in with your family members, no matter their ages. So this can help keep everyone on task and focused if you know you'll be taking a quick break together for a treat or for lunch. You can also put into place set times for checking in, having your children text you a picture of their assignment they're working on, or establish home office hours when you'll go over work with them. If you're looking at this example schedule thinking, great, this is an ideal schedule. My family's day is all over the place. I don't have time to help my child stay on task during their online class, plus get my own work done, or there's no way I'm going to fit my workout in at night or early in the morning. It's okay. Take a deep breath and let's move on to some ways you can successfully manage your workday and the school day without having to get up at 3 in the morning to get started. Okay, so if you're still feeling a little unsure about managing your day, here are a few tips that I've used over the years when my children have been at different ages that have helped significantly with managing my time. So the first one is to overlap what I can. So basically what that means, I guess you could say, is multitasking, but I call it overlap. For example, when you're fixing lunch and have a cutting board out already, making sandwiches, use a couple of those spare minutes to also chop up the garlic and onions to save for dinner. Or while you're waiting for your coffee to brew in the morning, throw in a load of laundry to wash. You'll find as you go throughout your day that you actually have quite a few extra minutes here and there that can be used to get a quick jump start on other tasks. The second tip would be to adjust your sleep schedule. I'm not saying reduce the amount of sleep you get, but if you strategically get up an hour earlier or stay up an hour later and use that time to focus on specific tasks or projects, you can fit a lot into an extra hour that's uninterrupted. When my children were very young, all under 5 years old, my focused work time was generally from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., then an hour or two in the afternoon when they napped, and then again from 8 to 10 p.m. or so in the evenings. I usually would fit in through the day other smaller tasks like emails or quick phone calls, but the majority of my productive work was during their sleeping hours. Even with my children now in their teens, I still prefer working early mornings to shave off a couple of hours of tasks and projects, so I'm more available during the day when they're up. Another major time-saving tip is to reduce your personal decision fatigue. It's estimated that on average, an adult makes up to 35,000 decisions a day. We don't realize the energy required to make that many decisions, and as a result, by the end of the day, we can actually experience fatigue from the process. Cutting out some of the easier decisions for yourself or making them in advance can provide a great deal of stress relief and actually more time in your day. So consider doing pre-planning on the weekends or the evening before the next day. Eliminating some of the daily decisions that you make, like what's for dinner? What are you going to wear? When are you going to fit in your workout? What time is bedtime? Eliminating those can actually help ease quite a bit of stress and overwhelm and allow you to focus your energy and thoughts elsewhere. The last tip that I have is using your weekends to plan for the upcoming week. I know we all like to kick back and relax on the weekends, but if you use even one day out of the weekend to pre-plan and prepare for the upcoming week, do laundry, create your menus, go shopping, prepare meals that you can in advance, it reduces a large amount of the stress and overwhelm that you feel throughout the rest of the week and allows you to focus your energy and your time on getting the daily tasks that have to do with work and helping your children with school all completed. Hopefully some of these ideas have helped you feel like working from home and supporting your child in their online learning is manageable. If you're still struggling with specific questions or how to make your schedule work, be sure to put them in the chat box for the Q&A session. All right, let's move on to supporting children of different ages with their online learning. So, key ways to make sure your children are as successful as they can be for the school day. 1, make sure they've had enough sleep. 2, make sure they've eaten breakfast. And 3, consider their individual attention spans. So first, let's talk about our elementary school age children and their attention levels. So being successful in supporting your child with at-home learning requires that we're realistic about what we can expect from them. Pre-K through elementary school age children are usually 4 to 10 years old. 4 to 5-year-olds have an average attention span of 8 to 12 minutes. If you don't have childcare available for them or an older sibling or partner to help them during the day with school, you may want to consider just letting them use online learning websites or apps for short spans of time throughout the day, instead of trying to have them complete any type of formal curriculum. Of course, for children in first grade and beyond, school isn't optional, and first graders, usually 6 years old, still have an average attention span of 12 to 18 minutes. Hopefully, their teachers will be using a more interactive form of online learning that allows for lots of breaks. But you can help your younger children sit for longer periods of time while listening by having them sit on a stability disc, which requires them to focus on balance or do something tactile with their hands and fingers while they're listening to their class, such as play with putty or a fidget spinner. Kids do surprisingly well when it comes to retention through listening, so if you can keep their fidgeting to a manageable amount, they may be better able to make it through their class time without losing interest. If your children are in second or third grade, usually 7 or 8 years old, their attention spans on average will be around 15 to 24 minutes. This is good news for you and them. If you can, consider setting up a work area somewhere nearby where they can sit as you work and they can focus on their online class or completing homework. Children at this age do well with more frequent redirection, and you can also use something like a time timer for a visual option so they can see their progress during class time or to help them focus on homework for a certain number of minutes. At 10 years old, kids are really starting to want to be more independent. They're 1 year away from middle school and they don't want to be seen like they are on the same level as the younger school kids. They also have attention spans that now average 20 to 30 minutes. So they tend to work well if adults give them direction, the supplies they need, and check in periodically. For kindergarten to 5th grade, the use of sticker charts or prize money works great as an incentive for completing work and really pushing them to the max on focusing. Keep some type of chart or other tangible reward system nearby that you can use to reward them throughout their day for successful learning. By middle school, 6th to 8th graders, usually 11 to 13 years old, are increasingly independent and they want to be recognized for their maturity. They should have independence over completing their schoolwork as much as possible. In most cases, they should have the skills and ability to focus at the level required of them. But as we all know, middle school is also a transition time from childhood to adolescence, which can make these school years a little more difficult for parents, as kids tend to focus more on friends and relationships than on schoolwork. What can work here with your child completing their school from home are clear expectations of when work is to be completed, what activity or digital access can be earned, and when it can be redeemed. Having a clearly defined system that rewards completion of schoolwork for a specific grade or attendance in classes is crucial at this age for your kids to continue becoming more independent, but also to put more of the responsibility on them for their work. Schedule a specific time each day that you'll be available to check attendance, review their schoolwork, and if they've completed it, and stick to it. If your middle schooler has completed all they need to get done by the check-in time, they're home free and they can access electronics or whatever other reward you have in place. Your high school age children should be able to complete all their own work, interact with teachers, ask for help, and even troubleshoot their own technical issues at this age. Chances are they're probably more tech savvy than you are at this point. If you have a high school student in your home, I'd recommend sitting down with them once, maybe twice a week, and just checking in, ask about assignments, and if they need any help from you for anything school related. If you have a ninth grader just starting high school this year, they'll probably need a little more direction and oversight as they transition from middle school to high school. But older students, 10th to 12th grade, should be completely responsible and accountable for their own learning, with you acting as more of an assistant in their education. So let's talk about if you have a child with special considerations like a 504 plan or an IEP. If you're unfamiliar with these terms, a 504 plan means your child has a documented disability, which provides them certain protections under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. This designation requires school districts to create a plan to make sure your child receives an adequate education and can participate fully in school. Oftentimes, 504 plans are used first to make simple accommodations for students with learning challenges, rather than developing a complete and more comprehensive IEP. An IEP is short for Individualized Education Plan or Program. An IEP is different from a 504 in that it is an actual legal document recognized under United States law, and it's developed for each public school child in the U.S. who needs special education. It's created through a team of the child's parents and district personnel who are knowledgeable about the child's needs, and it's legally binding for the school district to provide the outlined services in the document. If you're a parent working from home but also have children or a child with learning challenges who are less focused, have a difficult time, or may be completely unable to work on their own, realistically, it is going to be hard and in some cases impossible for you to do both, unless you have another adult in the house. In these cases, you should be closely working with your child's education coordinator in the school system to address their needs and how they will be managed. Keep in mind, 504s and IEPs allow for a lot of flexibility in what is required of the student, and they can be adjusted to accommodate whatever the situation is at home. Ask your child's coordinator for extensions to turn in schoolwork, if the option for them to attend live video class can be limited, or if you and your child can access a recording of the class over the weekend or when you're not working. You may also want to consider providing your child with an online tutor, having a distant family member help if they're available, and if attention is an issue, using the time timer that I mentioned before with an immediate reward system at frequent intervals throughout the day can be very helpful. Supporting children with learning challenges does add an extra layer of difficulty to the day for parents who are also working from home. If possible, have an open discussion with your employer about these additional challenges and how you can complete your work responsibilities while helping your child. Be sure to keep in close communication with your child's education coordinator to make sure your child and you can stay on track. Supporting children with online learning is a new endeavor for most parents. But as a parent who has voluntarily homeschooled my children multiple times over the years while working from home, I can tell you it's both challenging and rewarding, but it can be done. All right, the amount of time our children are spending with screen devices pretty much doubled overnight with school now being completed online. With this increase comes some additional difficulties we as parents face with keeping our children on task while they're on the computer, but also includes issues like managing eye strain. Minimizing screen fatigue is extremely important as our children spend so many hours now looking at bright light display screens. Whether they're using a computer for school, looking at their phone, or gaming, you can help them handle what is referred to as screen fatigue by doing some or all of the following things. Invest in blue light glasses specifically made for blocking out the harmful light from screens. Or if your child already wears glasses, consider using a computer screen filter that overlays the screen and provides the same protection. Review the computer settings and adjust the brightness of the display if there's bright light emanating from the screen, in contrast to just being readable. Consider adjusting the text size, and some displays allow you to adjust the color temperature of your screen as well to reduce the blue light. Home lighting is also important in reducing screen fatigue, so make sure you aren't using extremely bright overhead lights where you and your child are using the computer or device, and consider using lamps with soft white lights that are nearby but not shining directly on the screen that you or your child are looking at. Okay, assuming you're commandeering phones during school hours, most children and teens will still need the use of tablets or computers to complete their schoolwork, presenting issues for some parents when their kids don't have the self-discipline needed to stay focused on their work and classes and instead use their computers for gaming or social media. For younger children under the age of 11, if they're working on an iPad, going straight to the use of parental control software is the best option. Apps like NetNanny, Custodio, or SurfBlocker are some of the top ones to use when managing your child's time and access specifically on mobile devices. With tweens and teens, you want to tread more carefully when using parental control over their computer or tablet, and start out with giving them the responsibility and trust to attend their online classes, be engaged, and turn in quality homework. Depending on your teen's personality and any issues you have or have not had in the past with managing screen time, consider doing the following before putting parental controls on their computer or device. Build into your daily schedule intervals where you check in for updates on their school day and view assignments they've already turned in for quality. Institute a rule that they're not allowed to erase their computer history until you've checked it after school hours. After school screen time can be dependent on the appropriate usage of their device during the school day. Decide that they can have full control over their device as long as they attend their online classes and keep their grades at a certain level and turn in homework on time, regardless of whether or not they game, text, or use social media during school hours. Create a results-oriented environment. Giving older children the incentive of control over their device access and usage, as long as it is used appropriately, is the first step parents should take in managing digital distractions with this age group. If the trust and responsibility avenues fail, you may need to resort to parental controls that more tech-savvy teens can't get around. Here are some ways to help them stay focused through limiting the access they have on their devices. Make sure you're the administrator on their laptop or computer and that they do not know your password or passcode. Once you're the administrator, you can more easily control what pages they can navigate to on the computer, and you will have to type in your password for them to access certain websites that are outside of the allowed list that you set. You can also use router controls to limit access to websites and Wi-Fi. You can block most websites and even control which devices have access to internet at the router level. The two most common routers people use are Netgear and Linksys. So the first step is make sure you've changed your router's default username and password. They're easily found online and are usually some combo like admin. Be sure to take a look at the downloadable resource we've provided for this webinar for a list of links and tools you can use to set up these different controls and download these apps to help your child stay focused and minimize distraction when they should be focusing on schoolwork. All right, we've covered family schedules, managing your day, and supporting children in school, as well as handling digital distraction. Now, let's talk briefly about additional online support options you can use during the workday. Family members can be a great source of support with all of the technology available today to interact by video. If you have a grandparent or teenage niece or nephew who's available to be online by video with your child, either for help with their homework or just to keep them company, this is a great option to not only help you get more work done without interruptions, but it also helps build relationships between your child and other family members. A neighborhood homework club is also another really good option. Chat with some of the parents in your area with children of similar ages and find out if they're willing and available to rotate days throughout the week when they can host an online homework club session or outdoor PE while you get some extra work done. If you don't have family or neighbors available for direct help during the day, consider using a live video tutor to assist your child with after-school homework. Some public libraries are even providing this at no cost to members of their community, so be sure to check your local library website page before paying for a private tutor. And last, if you absolutely need to fit in more work time and need to keep your child occupied, don't be afraid to simply let them play games during the school day. There will be times, especially with younger children, that the attention span is just not there for the live class. Don't stress. As long as this isn't an everyday occurrence, give them and yourself some grace and allow them a break to either watch an educational show or play an online game. Thank you so much for joining me today for this webinar about working from home while supporting our children with their online learning. I know this is a difficult and unexpected situation for many parents, and I'm happy to be able to provide some resources and ideas to help. The content team for Virtual Vocations has also spent a lot of time publishing some very informative articles and schedule templates on our blog to assist you as well when it comes to managing working from home and your child's education. Be sure to check them out after this webinar. If you have more questions for me about any of the material covered today or anything else related to working from home and homeschooling, be sure to stick around for the live Q&A session.